This is our way to track inventory as well as configure and manage the devices, along with statistics and alert systems to notify you whether you've met the thresholds of RSSI or up or down or noise floors. All those things are built into the alert system. So we have a couple different options for building your server. We have 3 different versions. You can build your own standalone server, and those can be downloaded from our products software section. There's a Windows version, a Linux version, and a virtual machine. There's a quick start guide that follows all the instructions for all the installations to install as well as uninstall or update the systems to the newest version. The simplest way to use it, though, is through the cloud server, and there are 2 options there, a free and a paid version. The free version allows up to 20 devices. After that, you would have to go to the paid version, which is like $49.99 a month. And it's on our cloud account where you sign up from the website. You can either choose to get the free or the premium. And the difference is for the free is that you're limited to 20 and you're on a shared server. And you have your alerts and stats are limited to 30 days and 90 days. And you also don't have control of your time zone. But other than that, it's fully functional. So to begin with, when you sign up for an account or build your own server, you're issued a URL that's specific to your server. And this is the information that you're going to plug into the radio in order to register it to your server. Very simple process. You go into the services section and you enter that URL, enable the agent, and as long as the radio is on a live network, you click test and it says that it's able to successfully reach the server. And that's all you have to do from the radio end. The configuration comes in to the actual server itself to prepare how you're going to actually manage your inventory. So we have, by default, the administrator account, which has full access to everything. Then we have a regular user, which you can limit to what they can do. And then we have a network restricted user. So if you are creating individual networks, which could be groupings of products by the type or location or business, you can restrict your user to only manage those specific networks and also specifically what they can do on those networks. So you don't want necessarily someone having full access to do everything. And that's where it comes into these networks. Now the networks have settings where you can define where they are, what they are, the physical location, what type of network it is, the IP range, and you can go in and also turn on the alert notifications via email. And if this, you can put as many email addresses as you want. You just have to put a comma in between each one. So that's how you would go in and define a network. And then the alerts themselves are all listed on the alert page. They're all together in one location, but you can sort and search by specific product. When you're working with the alert definitions, there are some that are built in. These are the ones that are most common, and they're already currently set up with these certain thresholds that are the standard. In this area, you can go and actually change those thresholds to be above or below or adjust that number. And then that's where it's plugged into the alert profile. The alert profile is what you assign to a specific product and how the alerts come from that product. So in this case, the 2 that are built in are basic and extended. And you can adjust these and you can also create your own. So if you want to have a specific network that all you care about is what the signal strength is or whether they're up and down, you can create custom alert profiles and assign it to those products. So like here in this case, here's the basic ones. These are the ones that are by default turned on, and you can adjust your severity of the warning. So it tells you whether it's a critical warning, just informational, or just minor. And again, you can specifically put in here the email notification for this whole profile of alerts as well. Same thing with the statistics. There's an area that is pre-built with statistics. And statistics have to be entered in terms of the product type. So in the case where we have like all the DLB series, those statistics have to be gathered specifically for the DLB series or the point-to-point series, and that is adjusted and set up through this area, and that you never have to touch unless you really want to go in there and start creating your own custom. The statistics profile is then assigned specifically to a group or a series. So in this case, LIGO DLB series will have all those statistics associated with it. And this comes into when you're going to create graphical images. So if you want to look at your statistics in graph format, once you set this area up, then you can create custom reports on groupings or multiple products. So in the report section, you just want to create a new report. You want to give it a name, and then you add graphs to it. So again, the graphs are specific to the type of product. So in this case, it's a DLB, so you'd have to look for the ones that are PTP DLB. So you've got signal strength, what frequency you're on, noise floor, and you assign these specific graphs to that product. And then it pulls up a graphical representation of those, whatever you're specifically looking at. Now this is located under the statistics section, but if there is a certain group or product that you want to see on your homepage or your dashboard, you can go in and tell it to put these graphs on your dashboard so you see it when you first log in. And when we get to registering the device, this is where we come in and we tell it it's part of inventory, and we tell it what network it's associated with and what alarms we want to associate, what statistics are specific to that product. So when you click on the product, here are the options you have. There's some drop-down menus where you select your network, and this is again your custom defined network. Then you can put it your alert profile specific to your product. Again, your stats profile is specific to your product, and then device type. And the device type, it's your access point or CPE or hotspot. It's in a drop-down list. You choose that. You can also enter your latitude, longitude coordinates here, and that'll specifically place it on the map. And you hit register. Once the device is registered, you can configure, click on configure, it will pull up the web interface of the device. You can go right into the web interface and configure it just like you were on the local network. And another thing that is built in is the task list. This is how you help manage some of your devices if you want to keep your firmware updated. So back where we were, the tasks menu allows you to update your firmware, back up your configuration, and restore your configuration to your devices. And you can, the way you work with the firmware is you actually download it to the device, and then it updates the firmware after you execute that. So you can do two options. You can just send the firmware to it and update later, or you can send the firmware and upgrade immediately. Now this is beneficial if you have a live network and you don't want to interrupt the machines and everybody their connectivity throughout the day. You could schedule this overnight so the firmware is updated. It doesn't affect the day-to-day functionality. Then you can also reboot the device. Okay, so here were the options for the tasks in case you didn't see it. Get the troubleshooting file, back up and restore the configuration, and your firmware updates and the rebooting. Now there are two ways to do it. You can do it immediately, or you can schedule it to happen later at a certain time and date. And you set up this task and it will run according to whether you run it now or set up on a schedule later. So when you get to this screen, then you want to search for the devices you want to implement these tasks to. And then you say, okay, in this case, we're going to do it now. And it sets it up in a queue to perform whatever function you told it to. And when it's done, you get a notification, a check mark that it's complete, and it's run its process. This is really good if you're remote and you need to get to the remote troubleshooting files and send that into support, or you need to go in and make a change to a configuration. So that's basically how it works, but I also have logged into my own copy. And this is my cloud version. And this is basically what it looks like. I have no graphs or anything. I don't have any inventory yet, but I have plugged a device up to my network. And when you add the inventory, you do not have to put the IP or MAC or serial number. All you have to do is hit search. You can if you want to, but in this case, it'll just pull up everything it finds. So it shows up unregistered. So we're going to just click on the product, bring it up, and we're going to assign it to a network. Put it under Basic Alerts, and we're going to go down to the LIGO DLB. And we're going to call this an access point. And again, you could put the latitude and longitude if you want, and a couple more. You can always come back to this and adjust it later too. So then once you do, now you've got a registered product. So this point, it shows up for your alerts, and this is a done deal. This guy's on your list of inventory until you take it off. So I've got these networks set up here, and I added it to the hotel network. And you can view your topology. So in this case, if you had multiple devices attached to that same network, they'd all show up in the picture. But since I did put a latitude longitude on that one, it'll also physically show you on the map where this network is located. And for statistics, we can create a report give it a name, and then we need to add graphs to it. So we're going to again search for products. We're going to go down here. We want to choose the specific reports that will work for this device. Let's grab some. So now these reports are showing up here. And you can always come back here and look at this. But again, if you want to see it on your dashboard, under your system settings, there's a dashboard settings where you want to say, I want to see this report on the home page. So back from the home page, then your graphs will show up on the home page. So we currently have one device and one device up and one registered device. And it's unlimited if you build your own server and unlimited if you have the cloud version, the full paid version. So under the inventory, let's just say we want to go in here and change something in here. Click on configure. It brings you right into the web interface of the device. So now we can make changes and do whatever we need to do remotely. Mess with the configuration, we can reboot it, we can reset it, we can do anything you normally would do if you're configuring it in front of your computer. And this version here that I have logged in is actually a version that I built on a Windows machine. The only difference is under the system settings, you have a lot more options to set your time and date, the database information, and some other information. So if we go back to here, and go to system settings, all we have is this one area for the type of time and date. And that's the only difference. All the rest of the stuff is fully functional. And if you build your own server, just make sure that you have a public IP assigned to it so that all your devices can connect to it remotely. So that is how WNMS works. Do we have any questions or comments?
Very thorough, Leslie. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you. And this system is actually going to be somewhat integrated into our controller. Right now, none of the controller devices can be added to Windows Network Management System, but we're going to build alerts into that. However, if you do take an NFT product and install it as a standalone access point, then you can register it to WNMS. But so far, all the rest of our inventory will register into WNMS. The only other thing that's a little different that we didn't go over is the sweep. Sweep is how you add third-party devices to the inventory. There's a couple of basic settings. You're not going to get anywhere near the alert system or the statistics off of what we have for our built-in, for our manufactured equipment, but it does allow you to keep track of like up and down, that kind of thing. So you can plug third-party devices into it. If you guys have any further questions or you want some more one-on-one questions, you can call into support or email to support@ligowave.com. We can answer any questions you have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Leslie.